Okay, welcome to the show today. I'm delighted you've joined me today. Do you know that in UK there's a very big show on every day on UK TV called Loose Women? And I'm not talking about the Loose Women in Portabanus or anywhere else. We're talking about Loose Women, the TV show. But there is another show called Wonderbirds, and I have them with me today. I'm delighted I have them with me. They are Debbie Arnold, Harriet Forbes, Dee Anderson, and Sherry Houston. Did I get that right?
Oh.
No, darling, it's Harriet Thorpe, not Forbes.
And it's Houston, not Houston.
Well, we'll have to settle for that, girls. That'll do. You're all beautiful girls. Let me say hi, Harriet. Hello, Dee. Hello, Sherry. Hello,
Yeah,
Jeff.
that's better. That's better.
Yeah, we'll stick with that.
Yeah, okay.
How are you, Morris?
I'm very well, thank you very much. And I was celebrating my birthday yesterday, which I had a wonderful day. And it's a
Happy
great
birthday.
age,
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'm-
How is Spain?
it looks okay to me. It's very.
No, I mean, how is it over there? I mean, are you still very locked down, or are you eased a bit?
Okay, let's talk about that. It's an interesting thing. Are we locked down? Spain, and I want to speak to you girls really about that because this is a lockdown show. As you can see, I'm in my living room at the moment and not in a studio.
As are we.
As you, of course. But let me just explain a little bit here and what we're seeing in UK, and you can explain more to me about that. Here in Spain, we've had a very severe lockdown. In fact, we've had some people saying to us, this is just a police state, that it's terrible the way that you've been locked down, you can't do anything. Well, it worked. Yesterday, we recorded 0 deaths. And that's
Great.
throughout the whole of Spain, which is 40 million people or whatever. So it's an extraordinary thing. Here where I'm based in Marbella on the Costa del Sol, we've had very little as well. Very little throughout the whole
Fantastic.
lockdown. But the lockdown was very severe. You couldn't go out, you couldn't do anything. There was police everywhere, and the fines ranged, and a whole lot of people were fined between 600 and 1,000 euros. That were the fines.
Wow.
People were stopped and they were fined. You could go to the supermarket and you can go to the pharmacy or your doctor. But what I saw in England was, and I was a fan, I must say, of your Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. His ruling was slightly different. It says you can't go out, but you can go out. you can't see people, but you can see people. He couldn't commit himself to a proper lockdown. And it is a disgrace what we're seeing here. And we're talking about opening the airports here in July for tourists because we rely on tourism and on real estate. We rely on them. But we're seeing the behavior, and I'm not blaming you girls, but the behavior on the beaches and the behavior of confusion, it seems. Boris just isn't giving the message correctly.
Yeah.
And we're just wondering if these people all fly in here, will they think they can walk around without masks? We have to wear masks in public, etc., etc. So, girls, we'll start with you, Debbie, because I know you. How's your lockdown been? And is it as severe as it's been here?
No, it hasn't been as severe. It has, and the actual lifting of the lockdown has been, I think, the most confusing thing that we have at the moment. Because it's lifting, it's like it hasn't happened. It's the most bizarre thing. Everybody's everywhere. People are just walking around the streets. Very rarely. I've seen about 2 people in masks. I mean, it's loads of 15, 16-year-old kids are hanging around in gangs in the street. Beaches are full. It's terrible, and I'm just terrified there's going to be a second spike. I don't know about the others. What do you girls think?
Harriet, we'll go to you. Harriet, tell us, how was your lockdown? How is your? It is a confusing lockdown. It seems it's not the people's fault as such. It's confusion of what's going on.
It absolutely is. I think
there's no message.
There's no message at all. There's utter conflicting information all the time, and no one's taking the reins, and it's a mess. I think the good things that have come out of it is a sense of community, of caring for each other, of reconnecting with people that we hadn't connected with, our old friends. There was one moment when somebody said, well, I'm actually even wanting to speak to people that I don't like anymore because they're so desperate for communication. However, it's been a mess. And I think everybody, as we are mature, I think there's anxiety about stepping out again. And you're right, it's extraordinary to go out on the streets. I always wear a mask and gloves. But it is extraordinary that there hasn't been what you've experienced. Anyway, it's been very confusing, and it is extremely worrying because there seems to be no care and attention anymore. And that's not anyone's fault. It's not the kids' fault. They're 15, 16, they don't know. And life death for them isn't their experience. But as one matures and you see the chaos that has ensued, you realise somebody needs to have some clarity, and we don't have it.
This £30 fine, I think I'm right in saying, which you have been threatened with, it's worth paying the £30 and go to the beach. That's all it is. You know, it's not a deterrent. Now, if it was £1,000 fine, people would think twice. And you're absolutely right that it's honestly is confusion. Dee, over to you, Dee Anderson. And
yes.
Hello, Dee.
Morris.
Yeah.
Hi.
I actually interviewed your father many years ago. The great
did
brother,
you?
Thunderbirds are go.
Yes, correct.
It was
That's
her
right. And
mummy, Sylvia Anderson.
my mother was Sylvia,
Yeah.
and she was the creator of all the puppets and the storylines and
Wonderful.
all the rest of it. So thank you for saying that.
Are you Lady Penelope by any chance? Were you?
I am now. It was the puppet was actually based on her, and she created the puppet, the concept of the character. And actually, the puppeteer, Mary Turner, is still alive and remembers how she based out all the cheekbones and the eyes. Actually, my mother said it was my eyes when I was a kid, but, you know, don't hold me to that.
Settle for that, dear. Settle for that.
Take
Lady
it,
Penelope. Absolutely.
But I do the voice now. You know, my mother did the voice, but now I do the voice if there's anything like the Halifax commercial, etc. So I do the you know, get out the rolls, Parker.
Certainly, madam.
Fabulous.
Pull over here. So
Brilliant.
great to hear. A great dynasty you came. I must be very proud. How's your lockdown been?
Well, you know, all the things that my lovely friends have said, and but on a positive note, I kind of want to look at the positive aspects of it. Is that first of all, Wonderbirds we wouldn't have got together for Wonderbirds, and that's been a great thing.
Yeah.
Not just for us, but for lots of people out there who are all, you know, they're writing in and telling us that it's helping them, and it's helping us to help them. We're all in it together, and we're going to go on beyond lockdown, obviously, but also for the planet. And I think that's the good thing, is that there's so many positives, you know, less sort of emissions, and there's more sort of animals, like, you know, got dolphins coming into Venice now, and all sorts of lovely things are happening. So I think we've got to concentrate on that as well, on the positive
just
aspect.
on that point, Dee, and to all of you, coming over to you in a moment, Sherry, is that one thing that I noticed, I was never a great environmentalist. Honestly, I loved it, of course, but I've never dictated about it on radio or television.
Yeah.
But one thing I noticed, first of all, was the birds. The amount of birds singing, the noise, wonderful noise.
Absolutely.
And then we began to notice that of course there's no aeroplanes flying, so they're singing and saying basically, this air, we love this air. In short, we had very little crime, no wars, or very little terrorism. And I'm just wondering, I was asked this question, I did a UK radio show talking about Marbella at the time. I was asked the question, well, when this is over, which it looks like most people think it is, which it isn't, do you think that the world, maybe God said to the world, it's time we clean this up, and innocent people will die, but in the end we'll give you a clean world without crime, war, or the environment.
Yes.
Do you think man will go back to the way it was? With the question I was asked. Let me ask you that, Sherry.
Well, I totally believe that this was sent, because I remember in the beginning of January, I had a very, very heavy, dark feeling, and I've just lost my brother, so that you know, that was there anyway. So I incorporate that into that, but it was a very heavy, dark feeling, and I thought, I've never felt so, I think, afraid, but I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was my brother, and you know, and everything. And then when the lockdown came, I felt a sense of release. And I thought, I totally believe this was sent to teach us a lesson, and for the world around us. And I thank whoever it was who did it for that. But and I do feel that people have learned a lot. I mean, you know, people are at home. They've got to know their children more. They've got to know their wives more, their husbands more, you know, their partners more. But my fear is when this lockdown is really over, and I don't think it will be over for quite a long time. I think this is our new norm, that the whole world will turn, because human beings are human beings. They're greedy, they need, and they'll realize what they didn't have and that they lived without it, and suddenly now they want it back. And that's my fear. And I was talking to a finance guy a couple of days ago, and he said, the problem with this is we're all kind of quite calm now, and, you know, everybody's in the same boat, and we're all, you know, going through the same things. We've got our bills and everything, and nobody's coming at us. He said, but when this is all over, it'll be the 9 months and the 18 months after that that we will feel what this was really all about.
Yeah.
But the only thing I will say, climate-wise, I think it was sent, and I think it's. I mean, if you look at the sky and it's funny. I was out the other day and I thought, are the trees really that lush? Suddenly,
it's true.
They were big and lush, and I thought, are they really that colour?
Yeah.
And you know, and you're right. The birds. Oh my God, they're so noisy.
So loud.
That's wonderful. But I think what's coming, we have to prepare ourselves, and our government is a shambles and is not preparing us for it. And I think more to come yet, more to come.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you that man is the greed will overtake, and one of the things I know quite a few, and I'm sure you all do, businessmen who are being affected by this, and they say that of course man will recover much quicker than the economy, and the economy unfortunately dictates a lot. I mean, you in UK, well, the world, our lives are being risked because of the economy. If the economy was strong and everything was fine, the lockdown would still be very much in power. But the government said, "Hey, guys, we need money, and we're giving money away, billions. So we need to get people back to work. We need to get some money." So unfortunately, the world is dictated by money. Now, girls, I want to ask you: do you all work, or are you all retired billionaires?
We're all retired. Why do you think we're doing
retired
this?
billionaires?
We're loving Wonderbirds. Wonderbirds has saved our heads and our brains.
Totally.
And has kept us going.
You're actresses, basically.
Yes.
The thing is, Maurice, I have to tell you that actors never retire. And my family always said to me, in fact, my grandparents, who they were kind of in, their ancestors were in old time musical, but they always said to me, you know, normally, you know, families say to you, always get a pension, you know, you need a pension. And they said to me, never get a pension, never retire, because if you do, you're dead. That was my message. And so the answer is no, never retire.
And the same with you, Maurice. You keep on going, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose so, but I'm a young man, of course, you must remember.
Of course.
I love my work. So, you know, if you love your work.
We do.
Yeah,
it's the same for us.
It's the world we're in.
For us.
It's the world we're in. And the thing that is disturbing, of course, about this world, and especially, I think, Sherry, you're in soaps, etc., is that they've sort of cancelled filming all these soaps. But I hear they're going back. Is that right?
Yeah. Emmerdale is back. Coronation Street goes back next week. I did a series in Benidorm called Benidorm.
I know.
And that's repeating. So
repeats.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting about this is that also, yes, we're performers, but because we now have this platform, I'm doing a live show on Friday to Save a Theatre. We're all still able to work because we have it. It's different, but we can still perform. And I think, again, all this is shifting and changing. And it is wonderful that TV and stuff is coming back. But I think we don't stop, and neither does our way of expressing it. There's lots of shows that have started that are just on this platform, for instance. And thank goodness we don't have to stop, because throughout history, Man has needed a reflection of their society, and we keep doing it.
Hallelujah. I think,
Fabulous. Well said,
I think
Harriet.
Zoom, well said, Harry. I think Zoom has made a big difference for people in our business as well.
Absolutely.
It's funny, when I was first came across Zoom not so long ago, believe it or not, and I was invited on a English-Portuguese TV show, and I was amazed the way the camera came at me, then on the host, then on me, on the host, etc., as it's doing now.
Very clever. It will get better as well. Zoom will get better.
Well, there are other more professional platforms, but as far as I'm concerned, pressing a button is difficult. So
Zoom is getting better and better, and people now are using the understairs cupboards or whatever, and they're making their own home studios.
Sure.
Exactly.
So they're setting up the proper microphones, proper lighting, so that, you know, they, like voiceover actors do. Now we're doing it in a television world, so we'll all have a little studio eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
We never have to go out again.
Yeah, I sent away for lights, studio lights, green screen, everything I got. But here I'm on my own, so I tried to set them all up this morning. The green screen fell over, the lights fell down.
You don't need a green screen. You've got a lovely background.
Well,
you have.
Well, that's my house. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, but that's what we're all in our houses. I'm in my kitchen. We shouldn't pretend we're somewhere else.
I think I can't wait for us to be able to come back to Spain. It would be lovely to see you again.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
So are you actually inviting us? Are you actually inviting us over there now? Is that what you're doing?
I'm going to actually send, if you don't mind, my private jet, and it'll unfortunately it'll be in Heathrow for 5 minutes and 10 minutes time. If you can jump aboard, I'm just
not a problem.
No problem.
Yeah,
We're there.
We're on it.
Okay, guys, I want to
We'll
ask
be
you.
there.
I want to get your opinion on one TV presenter. I won't say if I'm a fan or not. I want to get your opinion, if you don't mind me asking. This is sort of a discussion. We're having a cup of tea in the chat. Piers Morgan. Let's start with you, Debbie.
Oh, well, I don't watch Good Morning Britain because I can't bear the fact that he interrupts everybody all the time. He seems to have a lot of power in this country, and it's not a conversation, is it? It's Piers just talking and other people trying to get in.
Okay. And tell me, Harriet.
I find it fascinating that he's now a socialist, but we'll just leave it there. Because he used to be quite pro Boris, pro Trump, and now he's the opposite.
Completely turned the other way.
Hold on, sorry, let me get back to the Harriet. I'm just on that point. Yes, he was pro Boris. I was pro Boris, but I'm not now because he's just mucking up. So it's
none of us
change
are.
your mind.
I don't think a few of us were in the first place, but it's interesting to see how his calling for people has shifted, and that's interesting.
Yes, it has.
Okay, Dee, are you a fan of?
Well, actually, I found it fascinating how he's obviously been brought in for bums on seats, because I think the relationship between him and Susanna was so sort of explosive in the beginning, and I think now they're best friends. I've heard through a friend of mine who knows them.
Maybe more than that. Who knows?
Oh yeah, exactly.
No!
I don't think so from her point of view. Actually,
Can't say
definitely
that.
not.
No.
Well, I'll take that back. They're not best friends.
Take it back immediately.
No,
Outrageous.
absolutely not.
No, outrageous.
Absolutely not. But I do think that it's entertainment, isn't it? Showbiz. That's what it is. And then you forget everything else. And I think it is interesting, as Harriet said, how he's changed sides. Because I was thinking, I can't believe how pro-Trump he is. And then, of course, because Boris didn't come on the programme, it sounds like I'm an expert, but I mean, I've watched it here and there. Now, I find it fascinating, but apparently the ratings have gone up with him on the programme.
Oh, huge. I'm actually, I'll admit it, I am a fan, and I find when he's not there, and what's the boy who does the Tipping Point, what's his name?
Ben Shepherd.
Yeah.
There's no discussion, there's no challenge to anything there. I always used to say to my presenters, if you don't believe in something, do not sit on the fence like the BBC do.
Yeah.
Challenge the point and be honest with your listeners. Because if you're honest with your listeners, they will see through you if you start, acting all this, oh, you're so right, and then the next person comes on, you're so wrong, etc., etc. And finally, girls,
Sherry, what do you think? She doesn't get to escape. What do you think, Sherry?
Oh, sorry, excuse me. I love you. Harriet's in charge. I can see that from the beginning.
Yeah,
welcome to the Harriet Show.
I find it very hard to watch now. In fact, I watched a tiny bit this morning, and it brings my anxiety levels up so much that I get so angry and so upset because he asked a question this morning, and of course it's all about America, and his question was so long that the person that answered had 1 second to answer it, and then he went on to the next person.
And he interrupts.
And my anxiety level for all those people that are sitting there waiting to say, "Can I just say?" And I have to turn it off. I have to go over to the BBC.
Yeah,
okay. I actually find the BBC a little bit okay. Just our final point. I'm sure you discussed it this morning on Wonderbirds. I don't know what your discussion, what the subjects were. Black counts, and I was watching Fury. What's his name? The boxer this morning. He was talking about racism, and he made a very good point. He said, "I'm a gypsy, a traveller, and many bars and restaurants throughout UK have signs and will not allow gypsies in there." And he said that, it's acceptable. It's acceptable. He said, but racism, blacks count. I'm going to write something this afternoon saying that we all count. I'm Jewish, and there's black people that count, and everyone count. What I don't agree with is rioting and looting, because the cause no good whatsoever.
Yeah.
Girls.
Yeah, we agree with you.
I think what somebody said today, which was so important, this is of our making. It's people of colour didn't create this problem. We did. And it's not for them to fix it. It's us to fix it. And we have to stand up and support them and make the difference. It's not for them. It's our culture that created this racism. And I don't see that they should be held responsible for everything. I'm sorry, but I don't.
He said this morning, the white people should look at themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They had 4 black people on the show with no white person to speak to or answer. And he said, we should look at ourselves. We should realise what racism actually is. When you talk to people, nobody realises what it is and how you can be racist so quickly and without thinking. When I think of my mother and my grandmother, and I know it was a different time, but we should look at ourselves and the way we speak, and our actual speech is often racist. And we don't correct ourselves, we don't correct the person. We go, "Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm only being funny." No, you're not, actually.
No, you're so right, Sherry. You're so right. It's up to us.
We all have to look in here and go, we all have it in here. We all have to get rid of it. And I think
well said, Sherry. Well said. Right, girls, I'll let you go because I know that you're busy girls. Just a quick word about Wonderbirds. Where is it going to go? Does Wonderbirds come from? Now I think about it. Thunderbirds. Is that where the idea came from, Dee?
No, nothing to do with Thunderbirds. It's just that we're wonderful birds, darling. That's
you certainly are. I love
wonderful birds.
Each and every one of you. I thank you so much for joining us today.
Debbie, give out your
website where people can see you or hear you. It's important that they can tune in. Although after the show, we'll put that up.
I don't know who's barking there. It's not my dogs for a change.
Not mine.
You can see us on YouTube. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube.
There you are.
Instagram.
Follow us on Facebook.
Okay,
and Twitter, Morris. Twitter.
Okay, we'll run your little promo as well at the end of this. But it's been a delight meeting each and every one of you.
It's lovely, Morris.
And
Thank you for having us on the show.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll come and see you in Spain.
We will.
That would be absolutely super. Absolutely super. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. We'll catch up. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.